Why do I still hear it when the house is empty? It's been years since I fled that house, yet the silence it left me with is anything but empty. People think an old home's creaks are the unsettling part, but they're wrong. The most terrifying sounds are the ones that start only after everything else has gone quiet. The move happened in the blank, gray days of late autumn. After everything, what I needed most was a place without memory, a container for silence, where I could simply work. The real estate agent called the house rustic, which was a kind way of saying it was a skeleton held together by dust and stubbornness, miles from the nearest town. It was perfect. The quiet was absolute, a heavy blanket that smothered the engine noise of the moving truck as it pulled away, leaving me alone with the wind sighing through skeletal oak branches. For the first week, the house spoke a language I understood. It groaned as it settled into the cold nights, the old timbers contracting with a sound like a deep, slow breath. The plumbing was a symphony of gurgles and shudders. I found it all comforting, the sounds of a living, breathing structure. It was a noise that filled the space where conversation used to be, and it asked nothing of me. I would sit at my drafting table for hours, the precise lines of my schematics a welcome distraction, the house's gentle groans a steady, unobtrusive companion. The other sound started on a Tuesday, or maybe a Wednesday. I was in bed, staring into the oppressive dark of a moonless rural night when I first noticed it. It was faint, a soft, rhythmic tapping from somewhere above my head. The attic. My first thought was a branch against the roof, but the rhythm was too steady, too deliberate. Tap, 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 tap. A pause, then again. I told myself it was a mouse, a squirrel that had found a way in. Animals make nests, they scurry and scratch. I fell asleep convincing myself of this mundane explanation. But it returned the next night, and the night after that. It always began in that profound stillness after midnight, when the world seemed to hold its breath. The sound was never loud, never aggressive, but its consistency was what started to unravel me. It was too methodical for an animal, too soft for a water hammer. It was a patient sound. As I lay there, listening, a strange vibration seemed to answer it from deep within my own chest, a faint thrumming against my ribs. I reasoned it was just the acoustics of the old house, the low-frequency sound resonating through the floor joists, the mattress, and into my own bones. The thought didn't bring me any comfort. The quiet I had sought was gone, replaced by an attentive, waiting silence, punctuated by a rhythm that was slowly becoming the only thing I could hear. Sleep became a luxury, then an impossibility. The tapping no longer confined itself to the dead of night. It started to bleed into the twilight hours, a persistent, metronomic punctuation to my waking thoughts. It was like a leak in the silence of my mind, a slow drip I couldn't plug. My work suffered. The steady hand required for technical illustration was gone, replaced by a tremor that seemed to sync with the phantom rhythm from the ceiling. My frustration curdled into a kind of desperate rage. This house, my supposed sanctuary, had become a torture chamber of subtle, maddening sound. One afternoon, as gray light filtered through the dusty windows, the tapping began while I was standing in the kitchen. It was louder now, more insistent. That was it. No more rationalizing, no more cowering under the sheets. I found the thin cord for the attic hatch in the hallway ceiling, its frayed end dangling like a forgotten thought. My hand shook as I pulled it. The wooden ladder unfolded with a series of protesting shrieks, dropping a cloud of ancient dust that glittered in the dim light. The air that drifted down smelled of dry rot and forgotten time. I climbed, each rung creaking under my weight, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. Pushing the hatch open, I heaved myself into the gloom. The space was exactly as I had pictured it, a low-peaked cavern of exposed rafters and bare floorboards, empty save for a few dead wasps curled on a windowsill. A thick, uniform blanket of gray dust covered every surface, a perfect, unbroken seal of years. My footprints were the first violation of its stillness. There was nothing here. No animal nests, no faulty wiring, no overhanging branches. Nothing. The profound, absolute silence was almost deafening. And then I heard it. Tap, 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 tap. It wasn't coming from below. It was here, in the attic with me. It sounded as if it were right behind my shoulder. I spun around, my breath catching in my throat, a scream trapped behind my teeth. There was only empty, dusty air. The sound didn't stop. It was clear, crisp, and closer than my own skin. I stood frozen, my mind racing through impossible scenarios, my eyes darting into every shadow. It wasn't an echo. It was immediate. It was intimate. Slowly, as if in a trance, I pressed my hand to my chest, just as I had done in bed nights before. The faint thrumming I had dismissed as an acoustic anomaly was no longer faint. Beneath my palm, in perfect time with the sound filling my ears, I felt it, a distinct, sharp tapping resonating through the cage of my own ribs. It wasn't the house. It had never been the house. The sound was coming from inside me. The house had simply been quiet enough for me to finally hear the echo in my own marrow. I don't remember climbing down the ladder or running out the front door. I left everything, my work, my clothes, the life I was trying to build there. I now live in a city where there is never silence, where the hum of traffic and life is a constant buffer. But it doesn't matter. In the quiet moments, in a stalled elevator, in the pause between songs, in the dead of night, I can still hear it. And I can always feel it. A patient, rhythmic tapping from deep within my bones. It makes you question what a haunting really is. Sometimes the most terrifying space isn't an old house, but the confines of your own body. Liam went searching for silence, a place to escape his own thoughts, only to learn what we considered at the start the most disturbing sounds are the ones that finally become clear when everything else has gone quiet. We hope this story lingers with you. Here at Content Channel, we explore the echoes that remain long after the event is over. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. After that moment of horrifying realization in the attic, what would you have done next? Thank you for listening. Until next time, try not to listen too closely to the silence. Next time, we'll hear from someone who found an old photograph of their empty childhood bedroom with a strange figure just visible in the reflection of the window.